On today's DNVR Broncos podcast, we're breaking down the Broncos' path to the playoffs. Now that we have the schedule, which games do the Broncos have to win? Which games would benefit them if they win? And we're talking to our guy, Brian Baldinger, and it all starts... Playoffs? Yeah, we're talking about playoffs on this show because the Broncos are going to be playoff bound in back-to-back years. We're going to break down that path for them to be playoff bound on the DNVR Broncos podcast. We are live from the Toyota Lounge, driven by your local Front Range stores inside the DNVR Bar. Ryan Koenigsberg to my left, Henry Chisholm to my right. We got Dion Angie here behind the camera and Zac Stevens rocking and rolling with you today. Fellas, how we doing?
Doing well. I just came from the Gondola Sports Summit.
Yeah.
Yes. So made an appearance over there before coming back for the show. Really, really cool. Our friends over at Gondola, Fresh Tape, Jared Kleinstein, who puts the event on and is the CEO. Just the way that they've kind of created this out of thin air. And literally it was so packed in there today that I couldn't find a seat. So
that's awesome.
So now you're here.
Yeah, I was like, oh, I guess I'll go do the show if I can sit down.
Yeah. No, I also love it. First of all, because it's a really cool thing, but also because Lexi goes. And so then last night I went to the Rockies game. Tonight I'll probably go to the Rockies game. It's like a big win-win. It's a big party in Denver.
I hope she's not listening right now because what you're saying
she's there.
is it's better when she's not with you.
No, she's not listening. She's listening to
Yeah,
the
she's
speakers.
there, exactly.
Parker's talking. Parker's
Tomorrow,
on
I think.
Oh, tomorrow.
Yeah.
Our business guy, Parker.
Big time.
What is his title?
I don't know. I don't even know my own title, to be honest.
No,
so.
he does something with our money.
It's more about like business partnerships and relationships.
Oh, I thought that's what that was.
I know he got a new title within the past year.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
How do you know
promotion.
that?
I think it was announced
Oh,
in
okay.
the company Slack, I
Yeah.
believe.
Interesting.
Yeah, yeah.
Maybe I
You
was
don't even
busy
know
that
your
day.
own title.
No, it's always like
Is it
being
just so
tweaked
long?
and changed and
Wow.
yeah. And I mean, then you got to add on like host of two shows.
Yeah, exactly.
yeah.
It's a long title, you know.
Yeah.
You know what title you're still trying to get?
Mr. Bronco.
Mr. Bronco, exactly.
Wow.
You're not quite there yet,
No.
but let's start this show off by how we're going to start every show this week and diving into our Mr. Bronco. We made this an exclusive thing for the show.
Yeah.
So it's not on social media. It's just for this show. So if you're tuning in, we want you to vote on this. It's going to be live the entire show. At the end, we will reveal that. So guys, don't let me forget to reveal the winner of each round.
So the poll is up.
The poll is up right now, and the one that we're voting on right now today is Cortland Sutton
The 3 seed?
against Nick Bonito.
The 6 seed.
Boom, right there. And so one of you guys, remind everyone what we're voting on. What is Mr. Bronco?
Mr. Bronco is about the player who most embodies what it means to be a Denver Bronco, who puts the team before themselves, who is the heart and soul of the team, but also can't be the best player on the team or the quarterback.
Yep.
This is of course something we're kind of borrowing from the Nuggets beat, who deemed AG as the third ever Mr. Nugget, preceded by Gary Harris and Monte Morris. So you can kind of just like, if you know anything about the Nuggets, kind of tell from Gary Harris, Monte Morris, Aaron Gordon, like what the type of player
It's a glue guy.
we're looking for here. Exactly, a glue guy. Someone who brings everything together. So, we're trying to find Mr. Bronco.
Yep.
But I will say, there was a long time before the Nuggets discovered AG as the third Mr. Nugget, and so we determined if this isn't decisive, we're gonna table it before bestowing such an honor upon someone just off a couple percentage points.
Yeah.
I
Maybe
love
that's
that.
the final poll. We go through, find the champion. And is there a Mr. Bronco, or is there still just not?
Wait, so we find the winner and then say, is this person actually...
Who's the best candidate?
No, they have to pass by a 2/3 vote.
Okay.
2/3
Okay.
vote, so 66.7%
Yep.
vote gets them the winner. So if you're tuning in, go to the chat. the Toyota chat, and I believe it's just pinned right at the top right there.
Yep.
So you can vote on that, and we're doing this every day. So vote. Is Cortland Sutton or Nick Bonito? Who do you think should go to the next round? And then tomorrow we'll get to the other side where we've got Quinn Miners and going up against Jonathan Cooper there. So vote on that. Let us know what you think, and we will touch base with that at the end of today's show.
I saw a lot of people chiming in on social media about this yesterday. Other than the players that we deemed ineligible, no one that we didn't nominate was mentioned that I saw.
Interesting.
So I think we did well.
That's perfect.
A lot of people saying PS2, they just didn't understand.
Yeah. And a key thing that you did say right now was can't be the best player on your team. Pat Surtain, that's why he's ineligible. Can't be a quarterback. Bo Nix and Jarrett Stidham, that's why they're ineligible.
Yes.
And Sam Ellinger.
And Desmond Ridder.
Yeah. No, you know what? Desmond Ritter backed out of his invite to rookie
definitely
minicamp.
not Mr. Bronco.
No.
He is definitely not Mr. Bronco. So instead, they brought in Ian Book,
Oh, yes.
who was tossing balls around.
Basically, Sam Ellinger.
Sure.
Yeah.
But Ian Book, I believe, played with Sean in
He did.
Yes.
New Orleans.
Was drafted by
Yes.
Sean, but not brought back. So he's not Mr. Bronco.
right.
So
Guess we have to close that book.
wow, that's there's no Ian pun, is there?
No.
There's no Ian team.
Wow,
Not in this team, at least.
Okay, there is an Ian team.
But there's no Ian.
There's no Ian.
no Ian
Okay,
team.
there we go. That's impressive. With that good transition, guys, let's jump into the Broncos' path to the playoffs. So we got the schedule officially 6 days ago, and let's dive in to see which games the Broncos have to win in order to make the playoffs. Do they have to get to 10 wins? Is it difficult to get to 10 wins? Which games are a toss-up? And among those toss-ups, which ones do the Broncos, how many of those do the Broncos have to win? And Henry, I think you thought the best way of doing this is going by quarters of the season, right?
Well, I just like to look at the stretches of the season because I feel like there's all the different ebbs and flows. Like for me, I look at these first 5 games and it's just like a very clear ramp up. Mm-hmm. You're playing a bad team to a little bit worse team to like a real football team, likely playoff team and a slightly better team. I would say Bengals probably better than the Chargers. And then obviously Super Bowl champions. So I think I go through and just see all the different
Stretches.
Exactly. The different stretches in there and kind of how they all shake out.
Well, I like the first stretch you identified, the first 5 games. That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah. I think realistically, if you leave that 3-2, you're alive.
Yes.
You're
Totally.
maybe not in love with it. You probably say we could have gotten a 4th, but 3-2, you're feeling good. 2-3 is where you're obviously very disappointed.
And I think it's also important to note that it's 3 road games to 2 home games.
True.
So you're going to have to win a road game to get to 3. And the way that this schedule comes out early is very road heavy.
Yep.
So that's the one thing that you're going to have to kind of scratch and claw. It's why I think the Broncos got 2, dare I say, layups to start the season.
Oh, no. Guaranteed wins.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't
he's
do that
already
anymore.
guaranteed them.
You say
Yeah.
that.
I'm
Yeah.
0 for 1 guaranteeing wins on this show. So,
Which one was it?
Thursday night against the Browns and Case Keenum and Dearness Johnson.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. I had a guaranteed on the under when the Broncos played the Jets on Thursday Night Football. Sam Darnold going up against, was that Joe
Brett Rippon.
Flacco? Brett Rippon, yes.
Wow.
I guaranteed the under, and I think both teams individually
Covered
hit the over.
Sam
Yeah.
Darnold had a 50-yard touchdown run.
Yeah,
Wow.
yeah.
Brett Rippon was low-key slinging it.
Yep. Didn't someone
Jerry
pull?
Judy mossed a guy.
Yeah. Oh, that was
that's
Jerry's
right.
game, man.
Yeah.
His only Moss.
Yeah.
Didn't someone pull up on that Sam Darnold touchdown run too, like a Broncos defender? I swear it was someone in the secondary, I think.
Are you sure you're not thinking of when Daniel Jones pulled up on his own touchdown run?
Against the Broncos?
No, it was
yeah.
I think it was a Thursday night football game against the Eagles. And
Yeah.
he's about to score and then grab the hammy.
Yep. So guys, the way I look at this is you have to win these first 2 games of the season.
I don't
now,
like playing that game though.
yeah,
Because that's just not
Yeah.
how football works.
but
Yeah.
you do. Just if you're just not going like must win. I don't want to trigger Henry by saying that, but
just guarantee it.
I'll just guarantee it. Like these first 2 games, though, just realistically, you take a step back. Of course, the ball can bounce any which way in a game, but realistically, if you can't beat the Titans and you can't beat the Colts, like look at the rest of the schedule, and that's going to be tough. So that's why I think you got to be 2-3. You have to be 2-3. In this stretch, in 3-2, like you guys said, you feel good being 3-2.
No, I think you can look back at the pressure. So like if we go through and say like, hey, you got to be 3-2 here. Like that's realistic standard. Like you're not asking the world. You hit that, you hit the next stretch, the next stretch, the next stretch. If it all adds up to 12 wins that we see right there, where it's like this does line up well, then it's easier to go back and say like, hey, if you do start 2-3, maybe there's a way around it. If it all adds up to like 8 wins, then you might say, actually, we need to raise these standards a bit. But yeah, I mean, those are the 2 easiest of the 5. But regardless of how you get 3, I'm fulfilled with 3.
Maybe I'm just too mature for this conversation.
Yeah.
I've just seen so many things. You can start 0-3 and still
totally
figure out a way out of it. You really, 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 really want to start 2-0. And after that, it's like you can kind of figure it out. You don't want to go on a 3-game losing streak after that, so you probably got to win another one. Like you can tell me what you should probably do, but I can't say you have to start 2-0 or anything like that.
Yeah.
Because you could start 1-1 and then beat the Eagles at the Link, which is one that you sharpied in as a loss.
Yep.
And it erases losing to the Colts or whoever.
And you got momentum.
Here's something that you guys apparently didn't listen to me last year, all of last year about, and you didn't pick up on it. And I'm gonna tell you after I give a shout out to our friends over at it's good friends. There are friends over at Monarch Money, where it feels like at the end of every single month, I'm like, where did my money go?
Yep.
And I look back and I'm like, okay, I think it went here. I think it went here. Monarch Money, they're just going to tell you exactly where your money went. They are going to take not just like one checking account or one credit card. They're going to take all of your money, all your checking accounts, saving accounts, credit cards, and investments as well, and put it into one easy place for you to monitor. And that's why they're such a help to us here at DNVR, but they also are a help to the entire country because they were named Wall Street Journal's best budgeting app of 2025, the top recommended personal finance app by users and experts with over 30,000 5-star reviews. Financial stress is one of the top reasons relationships fall apart, and Monarch Money makes money conversations much easier. And you can get 50% off your first year at monarchmoney.com by using the code DNVR. Get control of your overall finances with Monarch Money. Use code DNVR at monarchmoney.com in your browser for half off your first year. That's code DNVR over at monarchmoney.com.
And shout out to Empire today. When I was at the Rockies game last night, I was thinking about first of all, how hard it is to pitch at Coors. And I think people like underrate that for a bunch of different reasons. And because like it gets cold at night here. In some places, it doesn't really get all that cold at night. But as soon as the sun goes down, now you have all these relievers coming and pitching in the cold. So I was thinking about all this sort of stuff, including what if...
Yeah, go ahead.
No, we got to hurry up and get to the carpet part.
Yeah.
What if you kept the grass kind of wet so that it would be more humid? So that instead of like humidifying the ball so it would like move more, if you had like just the sun beating off of it, you might be able to get those pitches to move more. So I was thinking about that, and I was also thinking, I wonder if there's something similar with Empire, where if you had the right kind of carpet, because like I know in my house it has like a little thing that says what the humidity is inside. Like carpet, I would imagine soak some of that up.
I would think so, yeah.
Yeah. Or like if hardwood floor, probably more humid.
Potentially.
But having these thoughts, if I reached out to one of the experts at Empire who have been working with flooring for decades and decades, I mean, they're the best in flooring, they would have the answers to all of these questions. So if you want, like, I would be willing to bet if you want a less humid home, they could find a way to help you do that. I'd be willing to bet, not a guarantee.
Wow.
Empire's the best. They've been doing it forever. They've got all sorts of different flooring. You can see what it looks like in your place. You can schedule a free in-home estimate today because some things are just better at home. DNVR listeners can receive a $350 discount when using promo code DNVR. Yes, you heard that right. $350 discount with code DNVR. Restrictions apply. Visit EmpireToday/DNVR for full details.
Every single game the Broncos were supposed to win last year, they won. You can trust this setup of the Broncos with Sean Payton and Bo Nix. You can do that. Now, weeks 1 and 2 last year, it was at Seattle. I believe the Broncos were like a 4.5 point underdog. They ended up losing the game, but that wasn't one that they were supposed to win. Steelers at home, that's the only one that I'm not sure what the line was set at. But so after week 2, week 3 and on, they won every single game they should have won. And that's what you can expect with the Sean Payton team, is they're going to be ready to go every single week. That's why the lesson every time it came around, and I'd be like, oh, the Broncos are going to, they're going to beat the Raiders on the road. And everyone's like, I don't know about that. Oh, they're going to beat the Browns at home. You don't have to worry about Jameis Winston coming in here. They did that. You can trust this. The Colts at home. Yeah, it didn't look pretty, but they still came out with a 31-13 victory because they're a good enough team, and they're only getting better. So, guys, you can trust this team. You can trust them right now. That's why I'm not concerned saying that they're going to start 2-0. And then it's to get to that 3-2. Can they win one of the Chargers on the road, the Bengals at home, or the Eagles on the road? I personally think that they'll win one of those. Those are 3 tough games, though. And we can't overlook the Chargers. Like, the Chargers, it feels easy to overlook, especially anytime I'm with Ryan. He's just like, oh, the Chargers are going to Charger. And you're right, they are. Like, we saw it last year. Jim Harbaugh somehow is 2-0 against Sean with the Chargers against the Broncos now. So that's a tough one. Bengals at home is a tough one. Obviously, Eagles, you're playing Super Bowl defending champions on the road there. But I think the Broncos are good enough to pull one of those off.
Yeah, I think at least, and I think that to me is the most important part of that 2-0 start, is the momentum that will come with it. There's something about starting 2-0 where it's just like, oh, everything is now possible. And you go in and you find a way to win on the road at San Diego or at Los Angeles. You find a way to come back and beat the Bengals, who always start like shit. And now you're going in, like, the whole world is like, oh my God, the 4-0 upstart Broncos are going into Lincoln Financial Field. Like, can they prove that they're, capable of competing with a team of that caliber? Like, it can really start to snowball as long as you get those first 2.
Yep. And hopefully you've just kind of built to that point, because I think that's the biggest perk of having these first 2 games being against teams that probably aren't playoff teams, is that you don't need to go in there and like try to beat them up. Like, you don't need to go in there saying like, we need to play our best football. What you need is to say, hey, if we don't turn the ball over, we're going to win this. So let's just get the running game going. Hopefully you're not even throwing the ball that much in these 2 games, because you're able to just grind out 5-yard gain, get stops on defense. And it should be a pretty like formulaic win. It won't look like the Browns game last year where you're going out there just like, oh, better go score again. And I think that gives the offense a little bit of time to kind of add the quirks to it, add like whatever makes it special over the course of those next few weeks, so that hopefully you've gotten to the point where in week 5, you're kind of seeing all the pieces come together and you're in position to pull that one off. Yeah.
And I mean, someone in Gen X in the Twitter chat says, what's Sean's record in the early weeks with the Broncos? He hasn't won a week 1 game with the Broncos. So that changes this year. And Ryan, I think you missed this last week, but I'm saying the combined score of the first 2 games is 61-23.
Wow.
Broncos win 61-23 in those first 2 games. But why?
And how many yards the other teams have?
There's also a chance that the Broncos outscore the number of yards those other 2 teams get. That one's maybe a little too far.
That's that plus 10,000 on Bet365.
Yep. But guys, then I look at this schedule, and
I do think that they might shut out the Titans, by the way.
I love that.
Yeah.
I mean, what just a miserable start for Cam Ward. If I'm the Titans, I legitimately might not have Cam Ward start.
I suggested that to someone recently. They acted like I was crazy.
It's too much David Carr, like, to me. You're going up against the best pass rush in the NFL, who only got better on defense this year, plus you're playing in Mile High. That's
I know.
Bad
They're
vibes.
keeping Will Levis on their roster for some reason. Might as well just throw him out to the Wolves week 1. And
Yep. David Carr, notably the last number 1 overall pick before Caleb Williams to win his debut.
Wow. Well, that's not going to happen this time around. But then, guys, I look at this next stretch after this 3-2, 2-3 start, however you want to view it. And I see just like a money stretch for the Broncos. You play the Jets in New York. That's technically a Jets home game. That's going to be a Broncos home game. We know how the Broncos fans travel to those London games. The Jets are really bad. That should absolutely be a win. Then you play the Giants at home. Team with the number 3 overall pick. We don't know if their quarterback's going to be Russell Wilson, Jameis Winston, or Jackson Dart. We've been in this situation with the Broncos. If you don't know who the quarterback is going into the season, that's a really tough spot to be in. That should be an easier game. If we don't want to go guaranteed wins, I'll say an easier game for the Broncos. And you play the Cowboys at home. Who knows what the Cowboys are? The Cowboys can have talent, but then sometimes it looks like it did last year for them. Those are 3 games. You're going to win 2 of them, if not 3. I would personally say 3, but you don't want to go that far. You're going to win 2 of those.
Did you see the video that went viral from DLLS yesterday about CeeDee Lamb and George Pickens?
Oh, I did.
CeeDee Lamb was saying, like, oh, we're both the number 1 wide receiver. And I was like, what are you talking about, bro?
Yeah.
Like, you're, like, exponentially better than him.
Yeah.
Like, it's crazy.
It is crazy. Who was their number
George
2
Pickens
before?
wouldn't be wide receiver 1 on the Broncos.
I would not want George
I don't think you're wrong.
Pickens.
No. I mean, he fits with the Cowboys.
But it was just like,
He'll go
I felt like
talk and all.
CD was just like placating his ego.
Yeah. Well, just wait until week 3 rolls around and one of them's complaining.
Yeah. I don't know. You just can't be too surprised if they're good, though. You know, like last year was the first time in 4 years they didn't win 12 games, and so if they just jump right back on that, it wouldn't be the biggest surprise in the world.
But that's why I'm saying, like,
it's tough.
That's why I'm saying 2-1. You're coming out of that 2-1, and then even if you started 2-3, let's say you lose all those 3 difficult games you play, you're back to 500 about midway through the season.
Yeah. Do you throw? Yeah. So you got Jets in there in London, back to the United States, quickly turning around for the Giants.
Oh yeah.
Cowboys at home, and then
You said Jets in New York, but that was Jets in London.
Jets in London, but it's going to be a home game for the Broncos. Yeah.
And then do you include the Texans in that stretch or the Raiders,
You can, I think.
or is it just those 3?
I think
don't
for
know.
me, the next stretch is like 3 other games before the bye. The Texas game, guys, this is one where I think the Broncos should win, and it's just the one that they don't win personally. There's always one of those games. I just don't like this game for whatever reason. You should beat the Raiders at home, and then the Chiefs at home as well. I mean, I would take 2-1 in that stretch.
Texans, Raiders, Chiefs.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, definitely.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, that might be asking a lot though. Maybe you call it 2-2 and throw the Commanders game in there too. That might be more reasonable.
I would sign up for that.
Yeah.
And then that next stretch
Wait,
is
real quick. How do we feel about this Week 12 bye?
Cat Grizz weekend. I'm thrilled.
I like it. I think if you're making a playoff run, you want a later bye, and that's what you get here. And Ryan, how about this? Because I know after the Jets game, Broncos play at home. They don't get a bye after a London. But teams that play after an international game without a bye week are 12-7. It's happened 19 times. Okay. And those teams are 12-7. So it's not as much of a disadvantage as people think. And you're playing against the Giants, who are bad.
Is the travel thing overstated?
That's what the NFL is going to quickly tell us over the next few years. When they keep adding more international games, they're going to hope that the Broncos beat the Giants so that more facts come out of, no, see, it's not a big deal. We can continue to do more international games and have teams play right after.
It scares me.
Yeah.
Like if the Broncos were just playing the Giants with nothing strange about the game, I'd say, yeah, you should definitely win this one. But then when you just throw in, honestly, similar to the Jets, you'd say like the Broncos should beat the Jets, but just you're adding another dynamic that who knows how that affects you.
Well, did Henry catch you up on the history that I uncovered last week about this?
Build the statue.
This is pretty cool. Broncos are making history this season. They're going to be the first team in NFL history to play an international game and then without a bye, play their next game west of the Mississippi in the Mountain or Pacific time zone.
Wow.
First team ever.
Hang the banner?
Yeah, I think so. I think so, especially after they win it. They're going to be 1-0.
That'd be sick.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's a fun fact.
I don't know if I've properly conveyed how excited I am for London yet. Like,
Yeah.
Here's your time.
last time, just all of the people we met were so cool.
Yep.
Like,
Yep.
I can't wait to see the people that we met last time. I can't
Yep.
wait to see the new people that come out. I'll never forget that tailgate. We had 250 people from, I'm guessing, 30 different countries.
Yep. Yeah. That was so cool.
It was unbelievable. So I know that there's kind of like the fans who are definitely going to be at home, I don't think are excited about London games.
Yeah.
But I'm super excited for not just us, but for the European Broncos community.
100%. We had people even coming from outside of Europe and not even from the United States, but they're like, this is the closest that the Broncos will be, like from the Middle East.
Yeah.
This is the closest the Broncos will be. I had to come out for this game. And like you said, that tailgate was so cool. All the events leading up to it. And what was also really cool was right when this was announced a week ago that the Broncos are officially going to be in London, I had so many people reaching out being that were on that last trip that were like, when are you guys dropping your trip so we can get the tickets for it?
Yep.
And that's just so cool. I'm so pumped.
Cannot wait.
No, I can't either. Now, this next stretch, guys, before we hit a break, if you want to throw the Commanders in that stretch before, you got the Raiders, Packers, and Jags. That's kind of that next stretch that I view. One of them's on the road. That's the Raiders. And the other two at home. If you want to be a playoff team, this is like a 2-1 stretch here. And who knows how good the Raiders are going to be? Who knows how good the Packers are going to be? Who knows how good the Jags are going to be? This is a fascinating stretch where I think it's really not, these games aren't a toss-up, but like I have no idea what these teams are going to be like.
Yeah.
The Broncos should be peaking here.
Yeah.
You're coming off a bye. You had a big Sunday night football game. This is kind of where, as a team, you should be playing your best football. You know, you've got your full install, everything. Like, you are locked in, and you're more rested than the teams you're going to be playing against for the most part.
Yeah.
So, to me, it's like this. Hopefully, this is a seeding play when they get into this stretch of the season, and hopefully, it's a time where they can make a move.
Yeah.
Because it'll really change the vibes if they're scratching and clawing for a wild card spot at this point, or if they're like fighting for the number 1 seat.
Yeah. I think where we have them with 5 games left, they would need to win 3 to get to 10 wins. So you're kind of in that spot. But obviously, if you overachieve before that, then it's a little bit different. It's just tough to say. The Packers game is the one that I think you just know is going to be tough. Like that's an 11-win team from last year with no reason of getting worse. You've got Josh Jacobs coming to Denver in December. Like, there's just so much there where I say they will put a competitive product on the field. Whereas, like, the Raiders, there's a chance that they're, like, pushing for a wild card spot. There's also a real chance that they're, like, a 3-win team. Same thing with the Jags. That Packers game, though, is the one in there where once you get to that point of the year, you might be saying, like, wow, this is... Like, they might already have their 10 wins, and they're talking, like, can we win the NFC North?
Little hot take here. That's the easiest game in this 3-game
Really?
stretch. The Packers. I can't get over the past 2 times I've seen Jordan Love play in Denver. One was the joint practice against the Broncos last year, and the Broncos dominated him on both sides of the ball. And you might say, okay, joint practice doesn't matter much. Okay, the last game that Jordan Love played in Denver, he was terrible. And it's probably not fair just to take 2 instances, but I'm not a Jordan Love believer.
Yeah, the Jags one is interesting because I think that the Jags are like a fun team for people to believe in, but like what's the date on that game?
Mid-January.
December 21st.
December 20th.
December.
The Denver Broncos just can't lose to the Jacksonville Jaguars in Denver in late December.
No.
Just can't happen.
No, it can never happen.
It just cannot happen. So that's one where it's just like, that's got to be a win. The Packers, at least they're playing in like a familiar environment for them. And then that Raiders one, it's a road game in division. Those are never free.
Yep. Is Brian Thomas or Travis Hunter better?
Well, right now Brian Thomas is a better receiver.
Okay. I just want to make sure because he had like almost 1,300 yards last year.
Yeah.
So if we were going like Travis Hunter's better, which I think by that point he honestly might be, that offense gets a little bit scary.
Yeah, I mean, it's
Has the potential to be.
very similar to the problem the Broncos ran into with the Bengals last year.
Yeah.
That's very true. Okay, there's 2 more games left. Let's save it after we talk to our guy, Brian Baldinger. And before we talk to Baldy, I want to give a shout out to our friends over at Lucy, where Lucy is 100% pure nicotine. It's always tobacco free. Lucy Breakers have a little extra surprise in them. They have pouches with that extra surprise that has that capsule that can be broken open to release extra flavor and hydration. So if you want Lucy Breakers, that extra flavor, you can get them. If you don't want the breaker part, you can still get Lucy without the breaker in it. And they have so many different flavors. They have different strengths. So whether you've been in the nicotine game for a long time, you can get a higher strength. If you're wanting a lower strength, they've got that as well. And you can have Lucy set up so it's delivered straight to your door by going to lucy.com/DNVR with a subscription. And if you use the promo code DNVR, you're going to get 20% off your first order. Lucy has a 30-day refund policy. If you change your mind, that's lucy.co. And use that code DNVR to get 20% off. And here comes the fine print. Lucy products are only for adults of legal age, and every order is age verified. Warning, this product contains nicotine. Nicotine is an addictive chemical.
Also, shout out to our friends over at Raising Cane's. God, I love Raising
them.
Cane's. I always get this read when I'm hungry, and it's just torture.
I know.
Man.
But if you need flavor fast, like I do right now, you can order at raisingcanes.com or on the Raising Cane's mobile app, where every chicken finger is hand breaded and cooked to order. Every crinkle cut fry is crispy and perfectly salted, and every Texas toast is buttered to perfection. And every bite isn't complete without that craveable cane sauce. Are you hungry yet? I know I am. Might have to hit up Cane's right after this. So
Yep.
shout out to our friends over at Raising Cane's. Dive into Flava Flav's faves. It's Cane's o'clock. Time to dig in. Raising Cane's chicken fingers. One love.
And speaking of our friends, let's go out and talk to one of our friends. Brian Baldinger just called in. Let's bring him in right now. Baldy, what is going on, my friend?
What's up, Zach? Guys, good to see you, man. Things are good. Things are good right now, man. I just did a football camp out in Los Angeles, like the top 80 high school kids in the country, man. So it was good. Good collaboration.
Man, that's awesome, Baldy. Loved it. You're everywhere. From Vaughn's Pass Rush Summit to these camps. It's really cool to see, and love seeing you on our show. And the last time we talked, the NFL schedule hadn't been released. Now it is released. We see what the Broncos schedule looks like. They got 2 easier games to start. Then they end the schedule with 3 of their last 4 at home. When you see this Broncos schedule, what stands out to you?
Well, you're going to see Cam Ward day one. Cam Ward is going to see that, that pass rush that got unleashed in the NFL, number 1 pass rush in the NFL. And I don't know, if Dan Connor is out there playing left tackle, you might see Jonathan Cooper, you might see Bonito. You might see these guys just waiting in line to line up against him. He wasn't very good last year. They paid a lot of money for him to be left tackle to protect the blind side of Cam Ward. So then, you do that, and then, you get on, onto the schedule, and there's very, very winnable games there. At one point, you play the Jets and Giants back-to-back weeks. You're going to be favored against both those teams. So, the Chargers are your first division game the third week, but you could easily be 2-0, going to the Chargers for that division game.
I'm curious about that back-to-back stretch you mentioned, the Jets and the Giants. So the Jets game being in London, and then you come back and play the very next week, no bye week to play the Giants. I agree. Like, those are 2 games that you should win. Like, you look on paper and say the Broncos are the better team. How much does it change when those games are in London and then immediately after an international trip?
Well, they give you the option. Okay. So this, Jacksonville's been doing this for a long time. And, 1 year, actually, when Jacksonville was pretty good a couple years ago, they did that. They did a back-to-back, and they won both games. They won in London, decided not to take the bye week, because you do have the option, if you go to London, to take your bye week coming back. And other teams have done that. But then some teams are like, I don't know if it's too early in the season for a bye, whatever. But they decided to suck it up here, come back, and prepare. So, they, Sean Payton, George, they all have the option of taking that bye, but they didn't. But honestly, the Denver went to the Jets last year, and Jets couldn't score a touchdown against Denver in that game. And he won that game in the rain. The Giants, I believe, have the toughest schedule, at least on paper right now, of anybody in the league. Neither offense, I think, is better than the Broncos defense. I could just imagine the amount of 5-man pass rushes that these teams are going to see, knowing that you now have Jade, you've got the defensive player of the year. You got guys that can lock up and get after you with the 5-man rush. I mean, this might be tough on some of these quarterbacks right now.
So when they don't take the bye after London, they end up getting it all the way in week 12. What are the pros and cons of having a bye so late in the season?
Well, I think the immediate pro is, most teams, 11 straight weeks. You're looking for a breather. You're looking to get guys healthy. Somebody's going to be banged up at some point. I just was talking to some Eagle coaches this past weekend, and they had 2 weeks to get ready for the Super Bowl. Well, their center didn't practice. Neither wide receiver practiced. The quarterback was out. They needed all 2 weeks to get ready for the Super Bowl. And so 11 weeks in, you get that opportunity. That could be a real pro. And then, look, the negative is if at some point, like, for example, I'm just using the Eagles as an example because I live here. But they last year, they got pasted by the Buccaneers in the 4th week of the season. It was ugly. And they were 2-2 and going south real quick. And they had a bye week. And they had a chance to regroup, really restructure the offense, kind of have they made some changes on defense. Cooper DeJean came in. Bryce Huff went out. They made some changes, and they went on a run. So the early bye, if you're struggling at some point, you can really kind of self-scout yourself and try to fix whatever is not working during that early bye.
Baldy, I have two questions about teams that are on the Broncos schedule, and from your national perspective, wanted to know what you think. Broncos play the Giants in Week 7, like we talked about. At that point in the season, who is the Giants' starting quarterback? Is it Russ? Is it Jameis? Is it Jackson Dart? I think in Denver, people might want to see Russ, but at that point in the season, I think that's a fascinating spot the Broncos play him.
Yeah, look, Russell is getting all the first-team reps right now. He's the starter. Jameis is on the roster. Honestly, there's no point. I know Jameis had a great game against you guys last year. He was a classic double agent that day. Throw for 400 yards, throw all these interceptions. But honestly, when you draft a quarterback with the 25th pick like the Giants did, and you trade back in the first round, the idea that you're going to throw them in bubble wrap, Russell, Jameis, not get them on. If they're what'd you say, 7th week? If they're if they're 2-5, 2-4, it might be time for Jackson Dart.
Yeah.
If they're 500, the schedule is ridiculous. But if they're 3-3 and Russell's playing pretty good, you're going to see Russell. But if they're 1-5, if they're struggling like they were this year, I think you'll see Jackson Dart before you see Jameis Winston. You might see Jameis early if Russell gets hurt and they're playing pretty good, and it's early in the season, 2nd week, 3rd week. He pulls up with a calf injury like he did last year, whatever. You might see Jameis in that situation. But otherwise, I think this thing is going to go from Russell to Jackson Dart.
And then one more team really quick, the Jags. The Broncos play them late in the season in December. Are the Jags going to be good this year? They're getting more attention because of Travis Hunter this offseason, but are they going to be good? Is that going to be a tough game for the Broncos, or are they going to be a team that had the 5th overall pick last year?
Well, the immediate answer to me is Trevor Lawrence has to play better than he did last year. And if he doesn't, then they're not going to be a good team. They're trying to do everything, including drafting Travis and Brian, Brian Thomas Jr. Like they've got some speed on the outside, but they could not run the ball. They drafted a running back. Maybe he gives them some pop. But I don't believe that they're going to be a great team. Right now, Trevor Lawrence is 2-13 in his last 15 starts. Now, maybe the coach, 2-13. So he collapsed in the end of the 2023 season. He was awful last year and was injured. So they've got a long way to go to get him right now.
I think the other team that we're struggling to figure out what they'll be is the Cowboys. Because I think you look at last year and say that's another game that the Broncos probably should win at home. At the same time, though, that was the first time they hadn't won at least 12 games in 4 years. So what do you think of the Cowboys? Is that one that the Broncos should feel pretty confident in at this point?
I would feel confident right now. We've got to see what Brian Schottenheimer looks like. Mike McCarthy's been there a long time. Kellen Moore was there. Mike called the plays. Kellen called the plays. Kellen's a talented play caller. He's now the head coach. I mean, I don't think the Eagles win a Super Bowl without Kellen Moore in that spot, to be honest with you. So, but now it's the Brian Schottenheimer offense. And honestly, it has not been a difficult offense to defend over his history. Just hadn't. You just look at him in Jacksonville, look at him, in Seattle, look at him in different spots. I don't think it's a difficult offense, even with the Jets and Brett Favre, if he was the offense coordinator. Defensively, if Overshown comes back and Mike is good and, this kid they drafted in Boston College, plays at a high level, they've got speed on defense. But without Dan Quinn, they led the league in takeaways over a 3-year period of time and gave all those extra bats to Dak. And they took advantage of it. Plus, they scored a ton of defensive touchdowns. I just don't see that happening right now to Dallas. The offensive line should be better. They drafted well there. I don't think I just don't see a 12-win team out of Dallas this year.
Baldy, this question might not make as much sense to you because it relates to a conversation we were having earlier, but I'm just curious from a national perspective. If you can't pick Pat Surtain and you can't pick Bo Nix, when you think of the Denver Broncos, who's the player that kind of stands out to you as what it means to be a Bronco?
Well, I'm going to my wheelhouse. I'll take Quinn Miners every day.
Okay.
I just love that. In fact, you have a new assistant offense line coach now, Chris Morgan. He's there with Zach Stevens. Now, Chris is a really good coach. I just saw him this weekend, but I just asked him about Quinn Miners. Just you just don't see people with that kind of strength and power on every team. You just don't. That guy moves bodies, and they're hard to find. But I know he's not a national guy, but you take Quinn Miners out of that offensive line, I don't think Bo Nix has nearly the success that he had a year ago.
Wow, I love that answer, Baldy. And final one for you. Now that we have the schedule, we've seen what the Broncos did in the draft. We've seen what they've done in free agency. We know Bo Nix is going into year 2 after a good rookie season. What are realistic expectations for the Broncos this year? They won 10 games last season. Is it realistic to say that they should win 12 games and be competing for the AFC West this year?
Well, when you go and you draft your quarterback like they did in Bo Nix, and you identify him as a franchise quarterback, and then you go out and you get R.J. Harvey and you add the pieces around him right now to try to upgrade. You go out and you get yourself a tight end in free agency. You try to add more pieces. The idea is you compete every year now to be an annual playoff team, whether that's 10 wins, 11, chasing the Chiefs for a division title, getting into the playoffs, and going deeper into the playoffs. I think the bare minimum is 10 wins. Sometimes I feel like they're every bit of a 10-win team in a tough division. But if you just add one more win to 11, you're going to be in the playoffs. And the playoffs are they're just a different animal. It's played at a different speed. It's sudden death. Decision-making is paramount in these games. They're nail biters. So I would say 11 wins is realistic right now in a very tough division. I'm sure the Chargers feel the same way. I feel, Pete Carroll and with the Raiders said we could be a playoff team. I'm sure he's telling that to his team, and we know what the Chiefs think. So, you might be the toughest in football, but if you come out of there with 11 wins and Bo Nix takes another step and Vance Joseph, with what he's been given, gets even better, this could be a lot of fun.
Baldy, it's always a lot of fun talking with you. You always take that next step when you're on with us. We appreciate you joining us, and looking forward to our conversation next week.
You got it, guys. Take care, man.
Thanks, Baldy.
Love talking to Baldy. Yep. And not surprisingly, he took Quinn Miners. And makes a lot of sense, too.
I knew where he was going. I just wanted to hear him say it.
He could have gone Garrett Bowles.
Yeah.
In terms of an offensive line perspective.
And I feel like that maybe should be thought about in the voting.
Yeah.
Telling.
Yep. Every time Quinn Miners comes up, I just think about the report from James Palmer. I don't know if it actually was a report or just something he told us at the time, that teams were laughing at the Broncos for selecting Quinn Miners.
Yep. And now he's the one laughing at them.
Just like they laughed at all the Broncos picks this year.
Did they?
I mean, at least that's what the media did.
They laughed at Pat Bryant for sure.
Yep. Barron.
Did you see Pat
going corner in the first.
killing it on the reactions game?
Yeah. Almost had them all.
I know.
Oh, they laughed at Bo Nix's pick. That's for damn sure.
Oh, yeah.
Yep. Got crushed for that one.
Also, so somebody pointed out in the chat last time the Cowboys beat the Broncos 1995.
Yeah.
John Elway got hurt in that game. Can anybody in the chat, without checking, say who the backup quarterback who lost to Troy Aikman was?
I'm going to say...
Because you can't. You can try. You can try.
Whoa, you just said you can't.
If you do it, I'll be really impressed. I'll tell you, the guy had 6,000 passing yards in the NFL.
I was going to say Tommy Maddox.
Nope.
And obviously it was not Gary Kubiak.
No, 95 was his final NFL season. Played 13 games for the Patriots in 1991. 7 games the next year.
I mean, someone's getting it for sure in the comments.
Yeah, someone will get it for sure. I have no
I
idea.
don't know.
And if you're in the comments, make sure to vote on today's Mr. Bronco poll. We got Cortland Sutton going up against Nick Benito right now. And if you're also tuning in with us, hit us with a thumbs up. And one of the things that Ryan
Was
mentioned.
it Bubby?
No, Daniel Sepp got it. Hugh B. Millen.
Of course.
Wow.
Hugh B is in like.
Hugh
B.
B.
Millen?
Yes. Hugh B.
How did Hugh B do in the game?
It's 10-17.
Hugh be losing.
Which
Tennis?
back in the day wasn't bad.
Yeah. He was.
but yeah.
Yeah, that's a good one.
I mean, I just saw one clip that was really bad in crunch time, and the game was over by
So then when was the last time the Cowboys beat the Broncos when their starting quarterback played the entire game?
I can come back with that information tomorrow.
Good.
Yeah.
Right, I think you can do it right now.
But
can
never in
try.
Henry's
We can
life.
try.
Yeah. Yeah, no, never
No,
in
no,
Henry's
no.
life. They've never beat the Broncos in Henry's life. And really quick, want to give a shout out to our London trip. If you want tickets, like I said, we've already got our London trip up for you to join us. If you go to thednvr.com/events, man, it's gonna be an incredible week out there. We're gonna be doing events Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. And then the game on Sunday. We have a package that includes flights. We have a package that includes hotels, and we've got all those events included as well. So make sure to go to thednfr.com/events. And if you want something else to do really quick this summer, we're going to have events all throughout the summer as well, focused on got some fun Rockies games that we're going to. And so just make sure to stay tuned to that page, thednvr.com/events.
That graphic gives me chills.
It's so cool.
I cannot wait.
Oh, my goodness.
And I'm stoked that we get to go to a new stadium.
I know.
Even though Wembley was sick.
This
Wembley was
other
sick.
one, Tottenham.
Yeah.
Tottenham is newer, and
Yeah.
it is meant for NFL games. Like when they built it, they had the NFL in mind. Even though it still does play football there. The other football.
They just call it football because they speak
football.
English.
Yeah.
Okay, you're right. It's a soccer. Fine, then I'll just stick with my American language
there you
here.
Which was-
even though they play soccer there, it still was more built for football than Wembley was.
And did you know that soccer was started by them in the first place?
I would assume so. Yeah.
Like, no, I'm saying like the name soccer. They called it that before we ever did.
No way.
Yes.
And then they tried to kick that out and just say football.
Yeah. Now we get shamed for it.
Wow. Thank you for exposing them.
It was there's two types of football. I believe it was rugby football and association football.
Okay.
So then they took association football and started calling it ASOC football. And then it went from ASOC football to soccer.
Wow. Okay. And then once we started calling it football, they were like, no, we want that name back.
Once we started calling it soccer.
Once we started calling our football.
Yeah.
Wow.
So the Broncos also lost their previous meeting with the Cowboys in 1992. But John Elway didn't play in that one either. 2 quarterbacks played for the Broncos.
Gary Kubiak.
Nope.
in 92.
Tommy Maddox.
That's one.
Yep.
Other guy was a Broncos draft pick, an 11th rounder.
Good luck, Ryan. Was he a quarterback? Or
He
was
was.
this a little Kendall Hinton game?
He was a quarterback, although wide receiver Arthur Marshall threw an 81-yard touchdown.
Sick.
Wow, that's cool.
11th round quarterback
Out of Virginia.
draft pick out of Virginia. Yeah, that's
I've given up.
No. I'll give the chat a second before.
Okay, you'll
we
give the chat. So
spoil
then
it,
what
yeah.
about the last time the Cowboys beat the Broncos with their
Well,
starting quarterback playing?
Time to go back again.
real quick.
Ah.
Okay.
That would be Super Bowl 12, 1978.
Wow.
That is insane.
That would mean that the Cowboys have never beat the Broncos at full strength in 90% of the lives of our audience.
Yep.
Yeah.
78 is when we're going to. Yeah. Yeah.
Nobody's
Wow.
gotten the quarterback yet either.
Nobody's got. Okay, keep guessing in the Twitter chat. Henry, if you see it, give a
Yes,
shout out.
I'll be locked in.
Angel said RK came back a Leeds fan last time. What's he coming back this time? Still a Leeds fan.
Just
We're back in the Prem, baby.
Just a more diehard Leeds fan.
Yeah, I'm going to go again for sure.
Yeah. Did you hear what you hear said?
No, something
Yeah,
about
I didn't
us
either.
being back in
Yeah.
the Prem, probably.
Okay, let's round out this conversation before we get to our final conversation. And this is the final 2-game stretch here. Guys, kind of
It is Sean Moore. Chat got it.
Sean Moore, never heard of him.
Sean Moore.
Won't hear of him again.
Really quick, the final 2 games of the Broncos season, I think they are going to be at 10 wins at this point, and I think against the Chiefs in Kansas City and then against the Chargers at home, this is going to be for the division. And maybe even, as a player told me last week inside the Broncos locker room, told me that game against the Chiefs is for the number 1 seed in the AFC.
That
The stakes could be that high these final 2 games.
Imagine the Broncos being able to clinch the AFC West and the 1 seed in that game and then just rest against the Chargers.
Oh my gosh, it'd be incredible.
It would be incredible.
It would be so awesome. But those last 2 games are going to be huge. I think regardless of whether it's for the AFC, whether it's for the AFC West, whether it's for playoff positioning, whether it's for the playoffs, those last 2 games are going to be massive.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think the way we had it, because we had 2 of the 3 from the Raiders, Packers, and Jags, right?
Yep.
So you need one of these last 2 to get to 10, assuming everything goes the way we said.
At like a minimum, too. I think like
Yeah.
everything we've said is kind of a minimum of what they're going to do. And then they might get a couple more games here or there.
Okay.
I don't know. There's no predicting football in May. Are we still in May?
Yeah, we're still
Yeah.
in May. Yeah, we still got 4 months to go. So let's transition a little bit. What games are what's the best game to go to on this entire schedule? We'll do home and away.
What about
It's
neutral?
Ah, there is a neutral
Yeah.
one.
I think you have to.
that game itself is going to, it's going to be awesome for a Broncos. It's not going to be a good game.
I don't
Yeah, it
know.
is.
It's going to be cool
Yeah.
to be there, but the game itself is going to be like 31-10.
That'll be sick.
Which again is going to be fun, but those aren't the games that I, if I get one, unless it's against the Chiefs, if
Yeah.
they're blowing out the Chiefs.
I don't know. I would put that as my number 1 for sure. Is London.
What? Okay,
Yeah.
okay. Take out the London part.
Okay.
If that game was in New York, is it still your number 1?
No, definitely not.
Okay. So that's fair.
Yeah.
The international part.
Yes, the vibes of being in another country with tons of Broncos fans is unbeatable.
Okay, that's fair. I was thinking more so just the football game itself,
Yeah.
but that's very fair.
Yeah.
Football game itself, I would either take the Titans
Oh.
season opener, just because of, again, like the excitement is going to be higher than it's been in many years for the Broncos. It's a favorable matchup. You get to see the number 1 overall pick. And then obviously the Chiefs game in November.
Yeah. Yeah. Like if I was a Broncos fan picking where to go, London's the obvious number 1. If you can make that happen, you do that. But yeah, I think Chiefs is always a good option. The Raiders game, is that it's a Thursday night, right?
Yes, at home.
I don't know that I can recommend Thursday night football to people. Night game against the Raiders is always tough to turn down.
So we get Thursday night, and then we get a mini bye before the
Yes.
Chiefs.
Yep. And then a
Yes.
real bye after.
That's
Before the Commanders.
clutch.
Yeah, it is. And that's why, to me, it's the Chiefs is the number 1 game. You don't want to spend your Christmas in Arrowhead. So it's got to be the home game against the Chiefs. And then my road game, if it's not the one in Kansas City, because again, Christmas, you don't want to be there on Christmas. How about the Commanders?
Yeah.
Sunday night football. Bo Nix, Jaden Daniels. I think that would be a heck of a game. And for me,
it might be the most ass stadium in the whole league.
I'll take your word for it. Yeah. So, but Sunday night football
I
in
know.
the nation's not in the nation's capital.
Yeah,
'cause it's
somewhere
actually
near the
not.
nation's capital in a strip mall.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. You're downplaying it, probably rightfully so. But
I mean,
man,
the thing is, like, their fan base is re-energized, so that'll give them that more juice.
yeah.
Would you rather go to that or the Raiders Thursday night game here?
Raiders Thursday night for sure?
You think so?
And
tough.
I would probably rather go to Raiders on the road too before I went to the Commanders.
Oh man, the Raiders.
I can't go that far.
The Allegiant Stadium, that's
Yeah.
what it is. Allegiant Stadium. They try to pump life in by having like live music and stuff. It doesn't feel like a football game.
No, you're right.
The
It sucks.
atmosphere sucks.
It's like a bunch of hungover gamblers.
Yep.
Who like kind of regret buying a ticket to the game.
Yep. Exactly.
That
Yep.
Broncos Packers game could be really
By
good.
the way,
too.
like the NFL should feel guilty about killing a once great fan base.
Yes.
Boy, they really have.
Yeah. You still
Like as much as we hate the Raiders and all of that stuff, like that was a fun fan base for the league that was like different than any other fan base.
Mm-hmm.
That's just now maybe it exists still on the couch.
Yeah.
Yeah,
but
because
it's not in the stadium at all.
because now it's in Oakland, Los Angeles, Las Vegas, but then it's also not really in any of those places because outside of Las Vegas, they've tried to kill the Bay Area crowd by moving out of there, twice now? They tried to kill the Los Angeles crowd by moving out of there twice now? And then the Vegas crowd is just it's a very new sports town. And it seems like they've really bought into the Golden Knights.
because that's their team.
Yeah, right,
They
right.
didn't inherit it.
Right,
you know?
exactly. And they haven't bought into the Raiders. And also Vegas is such a great place to go for a weekend that so many away teams go there.
It kind
I
of
think
makes sense for that. Yeah.
Every week or every year, that game or that stadium has the highest average ticket price to get in, just because of the Vegas effect. It is not worth it. That being said, I still think it's better than whatever FedEx Field
Sunday
thing or
night
whatever
against
they're
Jaden
called.
Daniels. Like the quality of the game
Yes,
is just too
yes.
big.
Wait, do you know what the real name of that stadium is now? The one that used to be called FedEx Field?
What?
I thought I was being played with when I was like looking up how to get there. I think it's called Northwest Field.
That's dumb.
We'll probably have to.
Must be a financial company.
Northwestern Mutual.
Maybe.
Wouldn't it be called Northwestern Mutual?
Maybe.
Like
yeah.
if you really want your name out there?
Maybe they're just trying to teach people how to get there from DC because they think they're
Yeah.
going to a game in DC.
Maybe.
And maybe.
Yeah.
Like, no, go Northwest.
Yeah. Yeah, it's true. We're not actually in DC.
The only reason the Raiders make sense in Vegas, though, is just because it's like a national fan base. You know, mostly because they've killed the local fan bases, but it doesn't matter. Like, if you're anywhere in America, the worst person you see will be wearing a Raiders hat.
You know what's you got to be built the right way, but going to a game in Philadelphia is actually really cool.
If they were favored, I would do it. Having sat next to a bunch of Philly fans last night at the Phillies game, I'm out on every single person from Philadelphia. They're really awful. Like, they are really awful. But again, beating them would be good, which is why I'm going back tonight and once again sitting behind the Phillies bench so that I can make them watch their team lose.
I mean, usually when I go there, I'm not in enemy territory.
Exactly.
Like I'm, joining the party.
That's true.
But
Can't be this time.
I've been there before for a Broncos game, and like I'm a shit talker too. So like I want to go back and forth with you, and they're really good at that.
yeah.
And plus, like the city's cool, the food's good.
Man, that would be a cool one, especially if it's a game.
Jose says that even in Panama, the worst person you see will be wearing a Raider hat.
Wow. Good point.
It's everywhere.
Good point, Henry.
Yep.
Okay, before we end this show, we need to reveal what happened in the Mr. Bronco Cortland
God.
Sutton versus Nick Benito.
Predict. Have you? Henry's been in the chat.
I have not.
Do you know the numbers?
I have an idea.
Okay. Let's guess.
I'm going to go Cortland Sutton. Speaking that 2/3, I'll go 66% of the vote. Nick Benito, 34.
I'll say Cortland Sutton, 81% of the vote.
Wow. Okay. The big reveal. Dion, where are we at? Oh, you hear?
No. I
We
have
can
the
play this
number.
on you here, right, Dion? Is that right? Oh, Henry does have the number.
Oh,
Are we revealing it or are
I
we
don't
just
know.
saying it?
It might pop up on the screen.
I'm offering the reveal.
The cat. Okay. Wow, this is big. Henry, before you saw the numbers, what would you have guessed?
I'm not going to say. I'm not going to say anything wrong.
Yeah.
That's true.
Wait.
Oh, I can reveal?
Reveal.
92-7 for Court.
Wow. Whoa. Okay. Well, Court moves on to the next round to face. Who is he facing?
Alex Singleton.
Alex Singleton. That'll be a fun one. Offense versus defense. We'll see how that goes.
This is kind of like a first round like March Madness matchup where like one team wins by so much that they might like Cortland might now be the favorite.
Right.
I think Cortland's a pretty heavy favorite.
You put Alex on notice with this?
Yeah.
I think Cortland's a heavy favorite.
Okay, there we go. Tune in tomorrow to vote on the opposite side of the bracket. We'll see you tomorrow, 11 a.m. Huge guest. Broncos legend, Broncos fan favorite, joins Benny Fowler, and we are going to play some of that interview on the show, so you're not going to want to miss this. I promise you, every single person adores this guy, and when he talks, you want to listen, and we'll be listening to it tomorrow, 11 a.m. We'll see you then.
We all silly like the mayor.